Hello everyone and welcome to episode 8 of Monifactory. I hope you're all ready for this one. I'm very excited. So as you just saw, I've been definitely very busy with the building. This is the new part of the base, which is expanded next to the HNN room. I'm going to be housing a couple of things here, one of which is going to be ore processing. That's going to be something which I'll cover a little bit later today. But in between episodes, I've also set up 3 advanced miners, the high voltage ones. I've been mining, I think, chrome. It was chrome, manganese, and another one, which I can't remember what it is. I can't remember what the last ore was. The video will show you what the ore actually was, though. I'm very happy for all of this though, and now that I've covered all of that, I'm ready to start building some high voltage machines. So there's one little processing, one or a couple of recipes which I need to set up, and this is for applied energistics, so that I can continue requesting AE components. And on a side note, I can actually start producing these infinite water covers. These things are amazing. Oh wait, no. Actually, you know what? Instead of doing that, let's make a high voltage assembler, since I can actually do that. This will give me access to a couple of high voltage recipes which I'm after. One of which being the infinite water cover from GregTech. Yep, that's the quest. That's 2 quests actually, so I am at high voltage now. Oh, this will also give me access to the SMD components. Okay, yes, I do want to do that, but just not at this precise moment. They will actually be required for the higher tier circuits, so I have to keep that in mind. I'll do it eventually. Yeah, anyway, I'm after specifically the infinite water cover. So it's a high voltage recipe, meaning it can only be made in a high voltage assembling machine. Yay, infinite water covers. So this one can substitute the, the aqueous accumulators from thermal. So instead of having to place loads of things, it's literally just a cover. And when it's placed on multi or on either an input hatch or a machine, it will just supply water infinitely to the said machine. I'm using it in this case to produce distilled water on passive, and this can stock 41,000 buckets. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, so I'm going to be requesting the distilled water in here. Along with Certus quartz. And some of you may be able to guess what recipe I'm targeting here with distilled water and Certus quartz. This recipe is only accessible in, I think, a high voltage autoclave, which is why I've basically waited for it. But it's to make charged Certus quartz on passive, but it does require the distilled water. Look at that. Look at that for the recipe time. This is a 1-second recipe. So that's passive Certus quartz, passive charged Certus quartz. And then I'm going to add in this interface the materials to make the fluics inside this mixer. So it's charged Certus quartz, redstone, and nether quartz. And I can get to use another one of these fancy infinite water covers for this. Place it on, there we go. Passive fluics. And the reason why I decided to set that up and actually share it with you is because for the ore processing stuff, I'm going to be starting to request lots of ME components, and one of which are the export buses. More specifically, these ME extended export buses. They cost a fair amount of ingredients, but I'm going to be requesting like 32 of these at a time. Yeah, this is a big craft. 100 LV circuits. 100, nearly 100 calculation processors. Fair amount of resources for them. Yeah, if I haven't shared these with you, I don't think I have. The way that these extended export buses actually work, and I have chalked this up so that I can visually see how I'm going to start automating things here. This is the first one, which is going to be the macerators. So these are just basically, they're an export bus, but they have the storage of a storage bus. And look at all of these card slots. So I can put 5 capacity cards in here, plus the 3 acceleration, which will get me up to some pretty incredible speeds for this. And the reason why I want this much space is because... okay, well, you know the storage for the storage buses, right? So the storage bus storage, it's the exact same as the extended export bus, except one feature of the storage bus, well, it's a storage bus. So in order for this to actually send items into this crate, items have to actually enter the ME system and they have to be prioritied to go to this storage bus. Now, because I have these extended export buses, these are far superior than the storage buses now. Because for this, I'm going to be exporting... I'm going to be able to fill this one up, basically. I think it's at least 2 or 3 export buses full of raw ores I'm going to be setting. But this one, it can pull directly from the ME system. It will pull automatically, which, I mean, that's just great for the ore processing this time. So I won't need to build second storage room for everything. I'm going to be lazy this time. I'm going to have one storage room which just houses all of the storage for everything in the ME system, instead of the overcomplicated method which I've used in the past. So yeah, I am very excited to be able to use these export buses. And just for a test, so something which I know that I have a lot of is raw gold. There's like 2,000 of this stored in the ME system. Yeah, if I just connect this. There you go. Oh, and this one is actually exporting a base value of 8 at a time. Huh. Ain't that for export speed? So this is actually faster. Oh, and it's speeding up. This is going to be the building block of the new ore processing. I'm nearly ready to start building stuff for this. It's getting very close. I have a lot of machines to start crafting for this, because it's how many machines is it? So I need... Oh, and I'm also going to be doing these all at high voltage tier, because why not? 4 high voltage macerators, ore washers, centrifuges, thermal centrifuges, sifters, electrolyzers, and then 2 sets of 4 chemical baths, so that I can start running... There's 2 specific recipes, sodium persulfate, which I need to set up on passive, and mercury. I mean, technically I don't need to set this up, but there are some good things which I'd like to be able to get from this, like palladium from platinum ore, cadmium from tetrahedrite, gallium from bauxite, rutile from aluminium, platinum from nickel, and palladium again from sheldonite. They're the really important ones for me to be able to start producing from the ores. Yeah, I have a lot of work set ahead of me for all of these. This is going to be fun. Oh my goodness. It's here. Ore processing. It actually wasn't too bad to set this up, to be fair. It was just a bit of fiddling to try and figure out where all of the cables need to go. Yeah, now seeing all of these machines here does fill me with a lot of excitement because, well, I've got to filter all of these basically. All of these need to be filtered specifically for each ore. So coming down this elevator will take you into the underneath of this room, and, well, it's not too bad actually for the ore processing. Each type of item, this is the way that I categorize things. So each item will have its own export bus. So for the macerators, for instance, this one's going to be raw gold here. Then it will have crushed here, purified, centrifuged, and I always leave an extra one. This is like auxiliary in case I need to macerate something else which I get on passive, like an ingot or a specific ore block or something. And then moving on to the ore washers. This one is just going to accept the crushed because that's all you put inside the ore washers. Then moving on to, what one is this? This is the centrifuge. So this will be impure dust, purified, and then the auxiliary, which actually, come to think about it, this needs to be swapped out for a different type of export bus. Then I have the thermal centrifuged, which will only accept crushed. Looking at the recipe, it would be, it's kind of unnecessary to actually place the purified in here because this recipe, if you just put the crushed in, will skip the purified recipe in the ore washer. Wait, hold on. Never mind. You do actually want to be putting purified in here, because if you put the purified in here, then it will give you a bonus output. That makes sense. Because the ore, yeah, this is the ore washer recipe. So I'm going to be doing this one using distilled water. This will give a 33% chance for the bauxite. And then if I throw this in the thermal centrifuge again, it will also give another chance of getting more bauxite. So yes, I should actually do that. Maybe I'll leave that. If I need to expand it again, I will. And then the sifters, this one will only accept the purified because this is only for the gems. Electrolyzer, so this one will only accept dust. Some of the dusts which I want to be producing here, like tantalite for instance, I just want it to be electrolyzed automatically for me. And then the last two are sodium persulfate chemical bathing, then mercury chemical bathing, and these ones both required the crushed ore. So yeah, hopefully you can follow along with that. There is a lot of filters for these, and yeah, I love this part of ore processing, definitely the filtering part. Right, so I guess let's do a rundown of some of the ores and their byproducts, because it is specific for each ore gives different products from this. And because I'm using high voltage macerators, I get access to this chanced output, which is also important for maximizing ore output. So for the gold in this one, we're going to do, as an example, all of the raw ores are going to need to be macerated, unless there is a specific recipe which requires the raw ore. But for this case, raw gold going to macerate, that's fine. So this will produce crushed gold plus copper dust, which are two things I want. And then moving down the line, the next one I'm going to be filtering. Usually you do want to use the ore washer. In this case, it's going to give an extra bonus for the copper dust. Yeah, that should be fine. So we'll place crushed gold in here. There should already be some in the ME system. Yep, they're all working. So then for this one, I'm going to send it through the thermal centrifuge, because in this case, thermal centrifuging it instead of macerating will give you a better chance at nickel, and it will also give me some bonus silver at the end of this. So we can skip this centrifuge and go straight to the thermal centrifuge one. There you go, thermal centrifuging. And then the refined one just needs to come back over into the macerator. And then I will filter in the refined gold here. And that's the gist of all of this. Yeah, that's the full... Oh, look at them. They're all being lighting up like that. That's the full ore processing for some of these. And obviously, all of these ores, I mean, they're all different. So I'm going to have to set up custom filters for everything. So it's going to take a little bit of time for me to do all of the filters in the ME system for all of the items which are currently in there. Actually, let's have a quick look. This is all of the raw ores which I have. There's a fair amount, actually. I have a lot of magnetite. Chromite, that's come from the chromite vein. So yeah, I've got filtering to do. Yeah, lots of filters. Yeah, so the infrastructure which I have for this... Well, I had a problem. I have created a solution, but it has taken about 2.5 hours to figure out the logistics for all of this. Yeah, let's just put it this way. Things really got complicated when I started to do this. Once I finished setting everything up, it was time to test it. So I set up all of the filters, and then these electrolyzers and the centrifuges wasn't working properly. It wasn't round robining properly. So instead I've had to just use these precise export buses directly on the machines. And in these, if you set a filter, it will only send in that amount of item at a time. It will send in an unlimited amount, but it has to be a stack of 2 of that item, which for this application, for the electrolyzers and the centrifuges, that's very important, because if you watch this, so some of these items, it's not just one item going in. In this case, it's 7 of that item, and to stop the machine from clogging, you really do need to limit how many items are actually allowed to come in here. So these precise export buses are great. They allow me to limit all of these. I do just need to copy it to 4 of them, but that's fine. It still works in parallel. So yeah, that's the first part of this bit of a restructure for how everything works. And the second part is right behind me. So instead of having all of these basically importing and exporting from mainnet, now this is, so ore processing is a complete isolated subnet. So I've also limited what comes into the subnet. That is using this tag storage bus. So this is the tag which is actually currently in here. It just filters and allows, so it's dust, any of the raw ores, any ingots, any gems of either type are allowed to come through here. And it's set with a high priority, so this is the first location for them to go. They wouldn't, well, they can go to other places, but it's prioritied here. If that becomes an issue, I'll have to change it. So that's how it actually gets the items from mainnet into this subnet. And then to get things where they actually need to go, it gets even more complicated. Yeah, that's a P2P. I had to use a P2P. If you're unfamiliar with how P2Ps work, I'll give you a little bit of an explanation. So this P2P is basically sending this subnet's channels through mainnet, but it's not actually accessed through mainnet. So mainnet can't see all of the items, but the channel is actually running through mainnet. And then all the way over here, the output for the ore processing, that comes up here. So underneath here, it's just the other end of the P2P. That just allows the channels to come through. And then I'm basically filtering for this one, it's only allowing to export from the ore processing subnet every type of gem. So regular gems, flawless, and exquisite. That's one of these subnets. Then I also have a second subnet for only ingots. So it only takes ingots out of the ore processing net and puts them into this ingot subnet. And then lastly, this one is filtered for dusts, which I want to take out of ore processing to move them to the dust subnet, if you're all following. So that results in this part. All of the dusts are currently being stored here. All of the ingots are being stored in here. And then all of the types of gems which I'll get from this will also be stored in here. So that's the main part of how this all works. I've also had to change this bit, which is the mainnet storage. So mainnet storage is now, I've literally just moved it to a subnet. That's all I've done. I've moved it to a subnet with, so it's still bidirectional, so things can enter and leave this subnet, but it's on a really low priority. And that means for the mainnet, items can go in here, but they'll be last on the priority, so they'll go here last, and then they'll extract from here first. That's the same for how these are set up, except these ones had to be different. These ones had to be different from mainnet because I don't want any of them, any of the unfiltered dusts to go directly into here. I want them all to go to ore processing first, basically, because that's what's handling recycling and reprocessing of all of the other dusts. So all of these are set up the same. I just have, oh, that one, extract only. See, I missed one. They're all supposed to be set to extract only, so mainnet can see items and it can pull items out of here. And it's on a really low priority, which means they will extract from here. It should extract from here first. That took me, it took me a very long time to actually think on how to handle this. This is very similar to the setup which I was using in my GTNH world from 2.6.2, I think, or 6.1. It's very similar to this, but I didn't have access to the extended export buses, that many item storage in them. That's new to me in this version. So I'm very grateful that I have them for all of this. So I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, it was just... I can't believe how long it took for me to try and figure out how to set this all up. But long story short, it should work properly now. And on that glorious note, I'm going to wrap up the episode here. Yeah, I can't believe that this has been an entire episode on ore processing. Again, it reminds me of Supersymmetry when I spent the entire episode doing ore processing again. There's a lot to cover with ore processing. That's why it takes quite a long time, to be fair. So yeah, I do apologize. I will just say I do apologize about how long it's taken for me to upload a video. Things are a bit crazy at the moment for me. I'm busy. Okay, so long story short, I decided to fork the mod of Veritia. I'll give you a little bit of background for what's going on. And now I'm basically maintaining it. So I'm fixing bugs, adding new features to it, just trying to clean up, or just to, not really to clean up, but just sort of to get a better version out for everyone. It is on CurseForge, so you can download it if you want to, but that's the reason why it's taken so long for me to record stuff. So I hope you've all thoroughly enjoyed today as much as I've enjoyed playing, and I hope to see you all again in the next episode of Monifactory.